All right. And that's the Shen we're talking about right there. Okay, welcome to Isis in the Bible Fall Gathering Week Shen. Sun is reborn. And then we have the picture of the Shen here, the one in the womb, because after 9 months of pregnancy, that somebody mentioned, which is perfect, it comes the 10. And then after the water breaks, right, because this is the kings on the wall, on the Seti temple, Seti, the first temple. So the question for today was, what is your interpretation of the birth of the sun? And we had some amazing answers and suggestions and wisdom. It's beautiful. So as the winter solstice approaches and the sun turns northward again, we explore how this celestial rebirth appears in the sky because it's fractal. There's so many different birthings we can talk about, but is it really a birthing that we celebrate on the December solstice or Christmas time? So we'll talk a little bit about that. So in the ancient skies and mysteries and within our own inner light, we're going to explore this. Together, we'll look at how Isis, aka Mary, and the Solstice Sun meet at the Gate of Capricorn to begin their great ascent. So thanks for joining us today. So a little bit of what's going on in the sky. So just coming up, we just went through November 28th, 29th, Saturn and Mercury turned direct. So we should be feeling some releases in some cases, depending on your chart. December the 6th is important because this is the second time of two. Right here, this is the birthing scene. This is the nativity scene, this spot right here on the chart. And Jupiter is right there. I'm going to blow this up a little bit here. So Jupiter is right here at the nativity scene. All right, the domain of Horus. So Jupiter went once, going by twice on December the 6th, and then the third time in June the 2nd. So law, spiritual law is what Jupiter is really going. And we know this is happening because the law, the story of Jesus overturning the table with the lawyers who aren't doing their job properly because what they're doing is they're keeping perpetual karma going on, and we got to get out of that process. So that's what that's about. And then December 11th, Neptune turns direct. And Neptune is energy, pain, lightning, electricity. That's what Neptune is. So a lot of people are going to feel energized. That's on December 11th. I'm going to jump over to when Lilith, just over here, this one here, because this April the 2nd, pay attention when I show you this alignment from 115 AD and what happened there in that great big 7.5 or more, but just by how bad the catastrophe, because the catastrophe is because Lilith is the cat, all right? And this symbol here is Isis. See, there's this throne of Isis, and you can see the cobras there, and that's Lilith. So it's an alignment between Lilith and Isis. And this scene comes from electrical scene, where there's a ball of energy. So this is how they know these are going to happen. We don't look at the symptoms, we look at the alignments. And these alignments are there for healing us. That's what they're there for. But they will cleanse us if we're not there. So we'll talk about that as we get closer and closer to that. So as you know, we talk about December the 4th as being the birth of Jesus, the Sun. Okay, but as we all know, this is way too close to the solstice, which is on December 21st, 22nd, depending on where you live. But if you go out at midnight on December 21st through the 24th in that time frame, and you look south at midnight, you will see Orion's belt, the three kings, and the sun, the other sun, the deeper sun, because it's all fractal. It's all beautiful. So we three kings of Orion, right? Are westward leading, still proceeding, because it's going this way to the west, because this is the view looking south. So go out at midnight. Start going out now, and you can see that it's over towards the east, but it's going to slowly precess its way to Christmas. Right. So the birth of the sun is the rebirth of the inner light, witnessed both in the heavens and within us. The winter solstice, because this is the winter solstice, marks the sun's return northward, where the days start getting longer again. Right? So Orion's belt, the three kings, Sirius, Virgo, and Argo Navis, because Argo Navis is the constellation that's the furthest south. And Argo and the Argonauts, you know that story, right? Where they experience some rough waters because they're too far away from love. So Capricorn marks his point of initiation, ascent, and that's the goat climbing upward toward unity. So these three appear everywhere, we talked about before. So looking at a map, let's talk briefly what happens in the sky and why we name the tropics on the map of the Earth. Remember, the word Earth is the same thing as ether, which is the study of how things work with the fields. So on the map, the sun, right? The sun is here in the summertime for us and then moves its way towards here. So we're heading here. December 21st, it stops right here. It stops for about 3 days. It really, really seems like it stops for about 5 hours. All right. And that's going to happen 21st, 26th. So that's the movement going back and forth, back and forth. And we're going to talk about this symbol on the Egyptian walls because this came up. And this is what that symbol means of how it goes back and forth. So this is the tropic. So when you look to the sky, this is the zero. When the sun crosses this line, it's the equinox, the spring and the fall equinox. Right now it's over here. It's going to go back and forth in the sky. That's what we say. And then we see it does the Analemma. But what does this all mean? Well, when the sun comes into this position at the bottom of the chart, which is the Tropic of Capricorn, it's a domain of Horus. It's where we now come and we start, because we went the furthest away. We're the most redshift. We went south. Now we're coming back. This is a story of the prodigal son. And here you got Orion. This is where we become sovereign. We went too far south. We went away from love. Now we're going back to the point in the middle, which is love. And we've got our snake on the box. In other words, we've mastered and we've kept our karma all in a box. We've fixed our karma. Remember, the earth is the ether. So this is the story of the sun, Jesus, Horus's return, the story of the prodigal son becoming sovereign. So who will witness this exact energy? So Japan at exactly midnight on the 22nd of 2025 local time and date, it will be the exact point of the middle of it. So these people in Japan are really going to feel something. And if you have alignments in that area, you will feel something. But if we look to see what's happening exactly at the sky, we got Juno, which is Mary Magdalene, Venus, the sun. They're in Sagittarius because it's shifting. We've shifted because of the precession of the equinox. This way we can always find out where Mary is. It's going to be a beautiful winter because look at the wings for those who are Vesta, the Vestal Virgin, the ones that don't submit to temptation. They're sharing the loving truth. And the moon aligns there. And Lilith is on Deneb and Aldij. So a lot of beautiful things happening in the sky on that night. So I really want you to pay attention to these two symbols because they're always going to be there no matter what we see in the sky in every story. It's in the stars. So this is Virgin Mary. Right? It's the symbol of Venus. Venus is a symbol of all Mother Nature, right? And a point to the middle, which is pure love. And this is Juno, Nephthys, Mary Magdalene. She's involved as well in earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. This is Mary Magdalene, Virgin Mary, the two Marys. Okay, that's Isis and Nephthys. Thrown up, thrown down, and white. This is supposed to be black, but they show it as blue. Right? So this is the story of the nativity scene. But again, is it the sun being born or is it you coming back as the prodigal son? Because rebirth happens over here at the Phoenix Rising, which happened on April 15th, 2023. So we kind of got this one a little bit messed up because it's just a celebration that we're returning. The prodigal son's coming back north. Saturnalia is the festival of the Saturn. So it's an ancient Roman festival and holiday in honor of the god Saturn, but it is more than just that of a Saturn return. Are we missing the true meaning? Let's have a look. Sa means to turn back. It's Egyptian, Sa. There's that symbol we showed you. Turn is a reversal point, pivot point. Elia means the unseen portion of the one. Saturn, the great turning, the winter solstice turning point. A field in inversion, roles invert. Ancient world mirrored the sky. So Saturnalia preserves its very name of the Egyptian concept of Sa. The turning back, the return, the reversal toward the center. At winter solstice, the sun performs that exact motion, returning its southernmost point and beginning its slow ascent northward again. The Saturn is not merely a Roman festival title, but a direct echo of the ancient language, the sky language, the moment of the turning. Because the celestial field is the inversion of the Saturn point, the physical world mirrored it. Saturnalia became festival of reversal. So this is what's happening right now. This Christmas thing is really the celebration of Saturnalia. It's not the birthing, because the birthing is a phoenix rising. So we just got some of our stories mixed up. Festival of reversal, illusion of social order flipped. You can see that's happening right now. Self-proclaimed kings were mocked and cleanses were apparent briefly before harmony was restored. The ancients were not acting randomly. They were imitating the heavens. Saturnalia was a ritual acknowledgement of the cosmic pivot, the great turning where the darkness begins to yield and the light prepares its return. We're going to show you the retrograde cycle. Every retrograde cycle is the cycle of Sa. You see the retrograde cycles like this, right? So here's what a retrograde cycle looks like in the stars. This is from Stellarium. So when you watch, then it turns, that planet turns, go backward. So that's what this symbol now means, the Sa on the Egyptian walls. Same thing as retrograde. Same thing as the sun going back and forth. The moon does it, everything does it. So Sa is the primordial root. We're going to talk about the etymology of it. Across multiple ancient languages, Sa carries the same meaning. The Egyptian Sa, protection, foundation, breath of life. Sa is the vital essence, the protective field surrounding a being. Sa is also boundary or encircling shield. In Sumerian, it's to equalize, to level, to make whole, represents a return to balance. Indo-European, it's unity, together, wholeness, as in same soul, originally soul, the sun, sole, sanctus. In field language, the whole field returning to balance, the boundary of the cycle. This is already the Saturn function, the boundary, the limit, the edge of the cycle, the point where something turns back inward. So again, please look at these two Marys and their glyphs. Learn them. Know if somebody didn't bump their head and pick this glyph, it's because this is what they do. Again, Mary, the mother, points to the point in the middle, which is the no thing, which is the waters, the ether. So you can tune into what's happening. So this slide shows the stations of the cross at the celestial stations, each sign marking a phase of the sun's journey, meeting Virgin Mary, aka Isis, Eris, through the ages. The years beneath which each sign represents the length of time the sun dwells in that zodiac gate during this great cycle. At 0 degree Capricorn, because when there's no precession, they align here. So what we did is we went and looked, I went and grabbed and said, okay, so at Saturnalia, when we go to winter solstice, where the sun meets with the Mother Mary, this is why the tropical people get confused, because when when we realign with the chart over almost 2,000 years ago, with no precession, so this would be at 115 AD. So I said, okay, well, what happened in 115 AD? So I went and looked. In 115 AD, Lilith, Eris, and Juno, sun, and the sun at the winter solstice had a great implosion at Antioch, Turkey on December 13th, 115 AD. So this is all about us understanding the stories in the sky and not fall for the symptoms. This is about, again, you on the domain of Horus. This is what Gemini is, the divine feminine holding on to the masculine as it goes. It's round, but it must always come back to the divine feminine, right? And this is you on the weighing of the heart ceremony. When you come back, you're coming back. The prodigal son is coming back. It's carrying the crook and the flail with both Marys. Be brave, be strong, because you're the one you've been waiting for. That's what this is all about. So we went and looked. So I'm sure none of you have heard about this devastating, it was at least a minimum of 7.5 magnitude earthquake that happened in Antakya, Turkey, otherwise known as Antioch, Turkey. So before we get into this, let's look at what's actually happening culturally. Because around this time, in 115 AD, there was all kinds of solar rebirth metaphysics, solar deities, solstice festivals, solar omens, Isis Horus, solar child symbolism, Roman sun cult inscriptions, Palmyrene solar worship, Mithraic, which that's Mithras, winter sun imagery, and the Stoic return of light philosophy, imperial sun divinity imagery, and Hellenistic astrology describing the sun as reborn. So this 115 AD had all kinds of people talking about this event that was going to happen. So when you look at the sky, you can see at that time in 115 AD, you have both Marys and the sun, the black moon and Mercury. But there's something missing, which would be the implosions. So again, this is where it happened, right? 7.5 magnitude earthquake. But what really happened is I created this with AI. I created something so I can go back in further because they wouldn't carry Lilith all the way back. And I know Lilith carries implosions. And to our great surprise, here's Lilith in the mix. And what did I show you a few slides ago coming up on April 2nd? This exact alignment. I'm not saying we're going to have an implosion, but I'm sure we're being guided to see that this is what happens. And I went back and did a couple more. I went back to a bunch of the earthquakes that I've done, and she's involved. She's absolutely involved. So when both Marys are there and Lilith, we can expect some things to happen. What else was happening on that day? Where they say you can't follow Chiron that far back. Chiron was aligned, Spica and Arcturus, high energies. And then you got, there we go, Neptune, pain, energy, lightning, aligned with Royal Star Regulus. So all these energies are in the sky. We can see them coming. I hope I can predict if there's something happening. Sure, like it's going to happen on April the 2nd, this alignment. It could be any time because the sun is going to then join here. Okay, anytime after that, the sun is joining. So we're following all those alignments. Again, we don't want to be like the medical industry and look at the symptoms. We want to look at the cause. So just to show you, so I saw this post. Did Jesus marry Mary Magdalene, with whom he had 2 children? Well, I don't know about the children, but here's what he talks about. This is what has been learned following the discovery of a manuscript of the British Library dating back to around 1500 years ago, although the Church of England has rejected the claims. So I took this 1500 years ago and said, okay, let me go back and see what happened, what's in the sky at that time. 1500 years ago at 538, you have Mary aligned with the sun at the bottom, at the domain of Horus, the opposite side. But here is Juno marrying the sun at that time at December 23rd, 538. So these cycles and these stories are all in the stars, and it's about those 2 Marys. So the question now becomes, shouldn't I be looking in the heavens? Well, we know from Leonardo da Vinci and Salvator Mundi says, yeah, if you want to know the crystal ball of your life, you got to look to the stars, look up. And last slide for today is Let's Hug Day. So let's give everybody a hug, because you're infinite, you're the one you've been waiting for, and everything is going back to love. And we are being cleansed like there's no tomorrow. And that's all we have for today.